Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Vobes Show, beginning of another week, in another wonderful, scorching, hot day. How the devil are you? I'm Richard Vobes, and this is the Vobes Show on the 23rd of July 2018, and so far it seems to be all right. I suppose this is kind of the first day of the summer holidays for children. If you're a child and you've tuned in by mistake, then welcome to the summer holidays. The summer starts here, and the parents are going, what are we going to do with the kids? And in today's show, I want to know what you are doing with the kids for the whole 6 weeks of summer holiday. Or if you have kids who are at private schools, I believe you have even longer than the 6 weeks. In fact, your kids barely go to school at all, from what I understand, on the private sector. But anyway, if you have got kids at home and you're thinking, what am I going to do? Then let me know. I want to find out all about that in today's show. Where are you taking them? And have you got interesting ways to save money on taking them? Because if you take them to a zoo or parks or theme things, those sort of things, it's all going to cost a lot of money. So how do you get through 6 weeks of keeping them entertained? Or do you just shove them in the room and let them fight it out? And what if you've only got one child? What do? How do you stop yourself from spoiling the one child? And what if you are busy or you're working? How do you deal with children over the summer holidays? That's the theme on today's show, one of many. And also we have the wonderful, delicious and delightful Kevin Hall out and about doing his walks. And he will be reporting in throughout the show, which will be absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing those. In actual fact, I will be playing those in. I haven't had a moment to look at them myself, so it's going to be interesting to see if I can work out what's going on, because when I play them in, I actually can't hear a blooming thing. So I will look at them a bit later on. Yes, the old Vobes Show live here on Facebook, of course, and repeated on YouTube a little bit later on at some point, some juncture. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello, everybody. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for tuning in. It's absolutely fantastic. What else have we got in there? I met up with Cynthia Julian today, and we went to a church, but it was a very interesting church with lots of history. I should be telling you about that in today's show too. So yeah, loads of stuff involved. And of course, your participation is absolutely required, which makes it all worthwhile. Let's go and see if there's anybody actually out there in the land of Facebook and see if they are watching. So far I can see that we have Steve Blakey, we have Paul Hine, we have Ian Beddoes, we have Anne Evans, we have Mark Selwood, Pam Earnshaw, Matthew Holdsworth, Andy Joy, and so on and so forth. Many people there. Hang on, I need to move my thing down a little bit. See, Neil Gardner, Graham Whittington, the lovely Julia, of course, Andy Ash, Claire Leach, Cynthia Julian is out there. Good evening to you. We've got Kevin Hall and Jonathan Beluzic, Malcolm Glazer, and so on and so forth, and it's so nice to have you with us. There you go. I shall be telling you about my dunking in the sea in today's show. Also, have you been out swimming? Is there something that you haven't done for 10 years or a long time that you have done for the very first time since? Have you done something for the first time recently that you haven't done for a long, long time, and why? Why haven't you done it? And have you tried it again and thought, you know what? Why was I worried about it? If you've ever done anything like that, I'd like to know about it. You see, today I went for a swim. Now you might think, well, that's not unusual, but I had an eye operation around about 2006. No, wait a minute, 2008. 2010, actually, so it's not quite 10 years, is it? But about 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I had an eye operation, and I had my eye out. And now I wear an artificial eye on my left-hand eye, which is a bit of a shame, bit of a bugger. But that's it. That's the situation. I had a bug. It ate the cornea. I had 3 cornea transplants. I had the eye finally removed over a protracted period of 4 years. And in 2010, I had my eye replaced. I'll tell you about the whole gritty detail on another occasion. But with the eye, it's a very small little thing. It's like a shell. It is really like a shell. And the eyelids are the only things that keep the eye held in. And I have had an absolute fear of going in water, particularly swimming pools or the sea, and swimming or rivers or anything like that. I've had absolute fear of that. Should the eye, because if I'm in the bath and I accidentally bung a whole load of water into my eye, it can pop. It can pop the prosthesis out. So I've had an absolute fear of going in the sea. So I haven't been in the sea. I haven't gone swimming. The only water I've immersed myself is the bath. And I have done no more than that for the last, well, say 10 years. 8 years, ladies and gentlemen. 8 years. And so today, for the very first time in 8 years, I went swimming. I was down there with the lovely Julia and her son was a bit miserable and a bit... he was a bit upset. He didn't want to go down to the beach, but he'd been stuck in the house. And Julia and I said, come on, let's get him out of the house. Let's do something. We took him down to the beach. And like a duck to water, he lapped it up. They had a lovely time. You know what children are like. You know what they're like. 1 minute, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. Please don't make me do it. And then you get down there and you say, come on, it's home time. Oh, do we have to go home? I don't want to go home. Please don't let me go home. I don't want to go home. They had such a lovely time. It's always the way, isn't it? Anyway, we got into the sea and I thought, well, I'll entice him in. So I stripped off, ladies and gentlemen. I stripped off down to my shorts. It is a public beach and I didn't want to upset anybody by going any nuder than I need to. And I went for a swim. And, I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. It was lovely. The sea was warm. It was delightful. I was swimming. I kept my glasses on. I was more fearful of losing my glasses, ladies and gentlemen, actually, than the eye popping out. But I did keep my head above water. I didn't do any diving. That would have lost the eye immediately. And there's nothing, I can't think of anything more frightening for people, kids sitting there on the seaside at the edge of the sea with some bloke coming out going, oh, me eye, I've lost me eye. And they have a gaping great hole in the head with water dribbling out where it had filled the skull. Because there's very little inside my skull, you understand. There's very little in there. And it would have just filled up with water, no doubt, through the eye and probably come out the ears, which is not a pretty sight, I can imagine. John Belusic says, good evening. Hello, John. It's very nice to see you. Mark Selwood is saying hello. Nikki Jess has joined, so no doubt she'll be saying hello to everybody. Jonathan said, he said my name. Yes, I said your name. Pam says hello to everybody. Mark Selwood tells us that he has been swimming. Claire Leach says, I went swimming at Camber Sands at the weekend. I think you had to be careful at Camber Sands, wasn't there a thing fairly recently, or was it last year, where a number of people were washed out and I think they drowned. Nikki Jess says, hello everyone, I thought she would, and to Richard, and hello Mr. Mark. Hello Mr. Mark, there we go. Ian Beddoe says, according to Wiki, it was 2010. I'm not quite sure what, is it on Wikipedia, that the fact that I've had my eye put out? Everything's on Wikipedia these days, isn't it? Andy Ash says goggles. Yes, wear goggles, he's saying. Yeah, I know, I've got to wear goggles. That's right, that's what I should do. Jan Thompson says, hi Synth, how you doing? Or an eye patch a la the pirate. Yeah, it's a good idea. That would be good. That would really scare them. Malcolm Glazer says, glad you made it back in the water. And Andy says, good job the water wasn't cold. No, if it was cold, my skin would have shriveled up and no doubt the eye would have popped out like Popeye, which is no good. So we don't want any of that nonsense. Mark Selwood says, fantastic, good salty water, the best thing for your skin. Apparently that is true. And we used to pump raw sewage out into the sea here in Worthing, but I don't think we do that anymore, which is good. Richard Suggett has arrived. He says, good evening. Hello, good evening to you. Very nice to see you. Claire Leach says, yes, you're right about Camber Sands. They did have some people who washed out there. It can turn very, very abruptly. Worthing is a little bit better. It takes a long time for the sea to go out, and it goes a long way out in Worthing. And then it takes its time to come back in. But, of course, there are many places where it turns very swiftly, and you can be washed out to sea in a jiffy bag. So there you are. And, of course, recently the lovely Julia and I went to Saltdean to do a bit of beach clearing. And you may be interested to know that the beach clearing video is actually still up, and you can check it out to see how we did, which is very nice. Paul Suzanne Watts says, hello. Paul Suzanne Watts. Is that the same Paul as the Vobing one, as Paul Vobing? It gets very confusing with all these different Paul Wattses. And Matthew Holdsworth says it's the Riptide. Is it the Riptide? It rips in and it rips out and it roars here and it roars out. So that's marvellous. And Nikki Jess is going, woo! But then she would. So there we are. Mark Selber says, I used to go to Pontins at something or other. I'm just waiting for the thing to come down a bit. There we are, Camber Sands, when the parents, years ago. That's a long way from home, isn't it, Mark? Camber Sands, a long way from you. Yes, changed the name, says Paul Suzanne Watts. Interested to know why you've changed the name. But of course, it's your prerogative, especially as you've got a sort of a middle name, which is a girly name. I'm not quite sure if you're trying to tell us something. There's a little bit of cross-dressing going on there at the weekends. Are you Suzanne Watts in the evenings and Paul Watts in the daytime? You never know, could be. Malcolm Glazier says, stay near those lifeguards. We didn't have any lifeguards where we were, I can tell you, pretty much abandoned. But there were lovely rocks, big boulders. I don't know where they come from, but they've been putting boulders on, as groins. No, not those sort of groins, but the big stony groins. We used to have them as wooden things, but now we've got these great big boulders. I suppose because they take longer to wear away by the actions of the sea. So that's it. Terry Wood has joined. Hello, Terry. Suzanne could be his wife, says Matthew Holdsworth, stating the obvious. Yes, of course it could be his wife. Of course it could. But it just so happens that I know his wife is called Gertrude. So there we are. Paul Suzanne says, Suzanne... Oh, okay, so I lied about that. Suzanne is my wife and we do videos together, so she wanted to add her name. So there we go. Don't believe everything you hear from the Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi, because often it's made up nonsense. It's all fake news, to coin a term that I haven't heard for a while, for many years. I thought it'd be a good term to use. Fake news. I like that. It's got a certain ring to it. I used to do recordings actually as Hoax FM, which quite amused me. Nobody seemed to find it very funny. It was just comedy. But when I do comedy, nobody likes it, so there we are. Emily Champion has arrived. She says, Pontins at Camber Sands was disgusting when she went. It was like a scene from Carry On Abroad. No drawers, my drawers had no bottoms. Oh, really? Well, that's worth looking at, isn't it? We must investigate that a little further. In fact, the lovely... Emily Champion is going to be appearing on the show on the 27th, if I've not got that right. I'm slightly worried about that. I hope she puts drawers in her bottoms, otherwise it's going to be an odd show. And who knows if she's going to bring the rather scary cream splatter machine. Let's hope she brings something nice, strawberries and cream would be nice. That would be great. Hi, says Jane Ansley. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. What's the excuse? Fallen asleep on the sofa again, have we? Bless you, Jane. You're all the way up there in Lancashire. I feel very sorry for you. One of these days I'm going to get up there and I'm going to shake your hand and give you a big hug, because you're a great person and you really help keep the show on the hoof. Yeah, I think that's a good word. Ian Beddoe says, I must be strange. I liked Hoax FM. Yes, you're probably one of the few people that did, actually. It is available, I think, on Sound. Is it SoundCloud? If you put Hoax FM... Actually, if you put Hoax FM into Google, it should come up. I left the files up there. Never been to Pontins or Butlins. Do you know, I worked at Butlins once. Yes, I worked... I wanted to be a redcoat at Butlins many years ago, and I answered an advert to work at Butlins, and I went for the interview. They said, oh no, the redcoats don't go through this. This is just for the workers. And I thought, well, what about the redcoats? Aren't they workers? No, they were entertainers and da-di-dars. Oh, la-di-dars, probably. So I thought, oh, well, that's a shame. So in the end, I worked as a barman for an Easter, 2 weeks at Easter. I worked as a barman. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was a dump. It was in Bognor. Hopefully that they've improved it now, because this was probably in the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. Who knows? It was dreadful. Emily Champion says she's coming this Friday all the way from up north, well, south of London, which is north for me. And Andy Ash says, what am I missing? Well, you were there at the beginning, mate. I don't know what you're missing. So, never been to Pontins. Yeah, what are you missing? I tell you, not very much. Let's find out what Kevin Hall is up to, shall we? First of all, before we progress further, and I'm going to ask you, what are you doing with your children this summer holidays? What are you up to with your kids? How are you keeping them amused and entertained? I know for one, the lovely Julia has a young man. I took him down to the beach today with the lovely Julia, and I had a swim, as I explained earlier. And we're looking for some ideas, because poor old Julia is stuck there at home. Her hubby is out at work. It is the summer holidays. She's got to keep him entertained. And obviously I've got lots of stuff that I can do with my filming and stuff, but every now and again I might be able to help out. And I thought, maybe this could be a good topic for the show. What are you doing with your children? But don't answer me those questions yet. Don't answer those questions yet. Let's find out what Kevin is up to, where he is and what he's doing, okay? So Kevin, where are you? What are you doing? Tell us, please.
Hi, Richard. This is Kevin, and Cynthia is away to my left. We are doing a little walk up around an area which you know quite well, which you did with Ed Warren. We're just about to head off round Blackdown, and so this is the first walk we've done for some time, because of the particularly because of the hot weather, but also because I wasn't feeling too good with a cough, which I've still got a little bit of. But anyway, we're going to set off now, and we will catch you soon. Bye for now.
And then there was darkness. And they said, put on the lights, put on the lights. I do apologise by that. Yes, so there we go. Kevin set it up very nicely. We'll come back to see what Kevin's up to and see how he gets on, which will be very interesting indeed. So, yes, children. What about them? Well, we all have them, and, well, not all of us, of course. But how are you going to keep them amused over the summer holidays? That's what I want to know. So let's see what people are saying. Jane Ainsley is saying that I used to take my kids to Butlins every year and then took the grandkids, and we had a great time. So, yeah, so Butlins, there we go. That is a thing. But it is expensive. You know, if you haven't got a lot of money, what do you do with your kids? That's really, I suppose, how do you occupy your kids? Because you can't take them out every day to a zoo or every day to a themed event or something that's going to cost you 15 or more pounds a time, because you soon run out of cash. You really will. Plus there's petrol and all those other things. And you know what it's like. You get into somewhere like Chessington World of Adventures and they have you. They've captured you. And then what? Well, everyone's going to, you know, I want a drink. I want a drink. Yeah, how much is a drink? £50? Where are you going to go? We got you. We've captured you, haven't you? We got the monopoly. So we don't want any of that. So where can you go and what can you do with your kids that's free? That would be more interesting. Mark English says, I have no kids, so therefore I win. Well done, Mark. You did the right thing. Mark with a Q, that is. Bogner is still horrendous, says Jonathan Beluzic, and I dare say it is. I would not. I have to say I'm not very keen on these orchestrated holidays. We did take our kids once. My missus, at the time, I'm now divorced, Fancy Free. Footloose and Fancy Free, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come and nab me whilst you can. Because, you know, I'll probably get snapped up by some awful dragon in the near future. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's round the corner? And that's why I don't go round the corners, because who knows what's round the corner. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. But no, when I was married, we took the kids to caravan parks. It wasn't really my idea, but it was a cheap option. Dawn liked that sort of thing because she used to live down in the West Witterings, and there was a caravan park there, and it was very nice. But some can be a bit, well, you know, it's not, you know, a bit loud and raucous, and you're right on top of everybody. It's not my cup of tea at all. Give me a nice cabin in the woods any day with a friend, and that would be my kind of holiday. But anyway, Jane Ainsley says, take them to the library. Jane, the library... kids these days are on their tablets and they're on their phones and they're on their PCs and they're on Netflix and they're on YouTube and you know, as nice as I think that is, you know, in the old days, I think you could take them to the library, but I'm not convinced. Jane Daisy says, what about the seesaw rock searching? Yeah, well, Worthing, unfortunately, we don't have rocks. We don't have those little rock pools. They are very, very tiny. And if you went to Wales, down there at Tenby, get some nice beaches down there where there's a few rock pools and a few rugged rocks on the old Welsh Pembrokeshire coast is very nice. Absolutely, I agree with you. The beach is free. Take the friend and have a picnic. Well, that's true. And next time we'll probably do. I mean, the beach, because we are close to the beach, it is our friend. And if this weather continues, it'll be absolutely fantastic. Graham Whittington says, I put it out again, Ebeno Horn Fair on Wednesday. Good fun for the children. Oh, yes, that's right. The Ebeno, yeah, I have got it in my diary, actually, so I am hoping to come along. Maybe the lovely Julia and Elijah will want to go and do that. We were going to do a live show from it, but that never really happened. A cycling tour would be good, actually, yeah. I don't know if Elijah's got a bicycle, but could go on a cycling tour. I like that idea, which is great. Claire, I'll PM you later. Angie will know, says Matthew Holdsworth. Not sure what that's about, but there we are. Or English Heritage, says Andy Ash. I'm obviously missed a few bits there. Kevin Hall says, I have 2 kids. One is 38, the other is 36, and he loves them to bits, and I'm very pleased that you told us, and that's absolutely marvellous. What have I been missing? Let's have a little. The beach is free. Yes, I said that. Graham says, oh, yes, put it out. I have also a son who wants to be on the Bald Explorer video. Yes, that will take a day up. Yes, of course. There we go. And I'm up for that. If your kids want to be on the Bald Explorer, we could do... I was thinking of doing something, because, you know, now the lovely Julia is stuck with... I mean, she's looking after her child. I thought we could do a series of videos of something along the lines of surviving the summer holidays, which is why I'm eliciting these ideas. I hope the lovely Julia is writing them all down and coming up with ideas of what we could do, because that would be fantastic. Get a National Trust card. Yes, that's a brilliant idea. Thanks very much, Emily. Kerry is 13. Matthew, prefer not to leave her alone. Yeah, you know what 13-year-olds are like. Left alone, they'll suddenly bung it on Facebook. They'll say the house is empty, and next thing you know, there'll be a flash party, one of those flash mob parties. Andy Ash says, or English Heritage. That's 2 lots of these cards. They cost a fortune to be a membership with these things. They should do like a summer holidays for free, because that would be great. Imagine if they had the foresight, the National Trust and English Heritage, to have the foresight to do these things free, 1 adult, 1 child, free. If they did that, it would get people in and go, oh, we can go to so-and-so. And then out of the summer holidays, the people might go, do you know what, I'd like to do more of that. Now we've had a taste, I'd like to do it, and the kids would be brought up. Then you whack them for the money once you tease them in. I think that's a very good idea, but of course it's my idea. It's my idea. I want the credit for it. Thank you. Kevin Hall, no, I've read that. He's got one. Paul Suzanne Watts says, we took the children to Rockley Park in Poole in Dorset for 6 years in a row. Then we came back and we picked them up 6 years later. Well, that's very nice. He says, they loved it, so did we. And what is Rockley Park exactly? Is that a caravan park? It sounds something familiar. We may have taken our children. We went to a caravan park in Poole, actually. And Billy loved it, but he spent most of the time in the arcade, putting money, 10p's into the slot machines. He loved it. Otherwise, they just wouldn't get out of the swimming pool, which was great. Matthew Holdsworth says, my boys went to the library. Oh, so they went to the library. Well, if you've got educated children, of course, it's slightly different. But not everybody has educated children. So that's it. Elijah could learn about the allotment. Yeah, well, he kind of does learn a little bit about the allotment. Actually, I thought, give him a spade and make him dig up the whole garden. Turn the whole garden into an allotment would be nice. Could plant all sorts of things. That'll give him green fingers. Malcolm Glazier says, build a tree house. Oh, yeah, he built a tree house one summer. Not now. Health and safety. No, tree house would be good. I'd like to do that. Pam Earnshaw says, I don't think there is any more, Claire. Is down to the parents knowing if the children are capable. I'm not. Oh, sorry, that's a response to Claire. I'm not quite sure what that's. Wendy Wakeley says, rock painting. Yes, there we are. I know somewhere that needs painting that's full of rock. How about the White Cliffs of Dover? Get the kids up there with a big tin of white paint. Any of those areas that are not white enough, they could spruce that up. How about that would be good. Too many traction engines have passed by at the bottom of the White Cliffs of Dover and left a little bit of soot. Very smutty, very smutty. Get them cleaning that. It seems to be the new thing. Go to the Facebook page, Hidden Rocks, and take a look. Oh, okay. So there we go. You paint the rocks, she says, and hide them, and then you look for others. Here where we are, the local health pond, a health pond, that sounds interesting, in Petersfield is a great place. Heath, not health. That's me misinterpreting that. In Petersfield, great place. Find rocks, play in the park, walk around the pond, and then drink in the cafe. Wendy Wakelin, that sounds absolutely fantastic idea. Write that one down, Julia. We'll get him painting some rocks. As they say in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's, what is it? They bang the rocks together or something. I can see that Jane's comments that Richard is mentioning. Oh, good. Jonathan Beluzic says, I'm putting the kids for sale on eBay. Well, that was always a good. And going on a weekend away on the proceeds. Yes, I wonder how much you get, but except that you might get done for that. Debbie Martin says, I take my nieces to the River Meon with little fishing nets and jam jars to study the little fishes and insects. They love it. Well, actually, Julia, not too far from you is the River Ada. We could go up there. Don't fall in, for God's sake, but we could get some little nets and things and see if we can't catch ourselves a shark. Which would be good. I did get my nephew into watching the Vobes Show for a while, says Mark Selwood. Then no doubt they thought, what is this rubbish? That's not really something to do over the summer holidays, of course. And Anthony Jones says Dumpman seems like Ian Gillian from Deep Purple. Oh, does he? Well, thanks for that. Just added that just for the fun of it. Yes, he does have a bicycle, says the lovely Julia, chipping in right there. We mentioned bicycles a long while ago. National Trust membership, definitely worth it, which is good. Kite flying on the downs. Yes, kite flying. There we go. We could get a kite. Emily Champion says, my girls want to be on video too. Well, we'll have to plan a day out, won't we? We'll have to plan a day out where we go with the Bald Explorer over the summer holidays. We'll meet up with the lovely Julia and Elijah and your girls, and we'll go and wander around some. I think that would be great. A nice little group outing. That would be fantastic. Linda Kane says Blackberry on the Downs a little later on. Yes, perfect idea. I like that idea very much. We could gather enough to make some blackberry jam, or even better, so what about some blackberry pie? I love all that. That would be good. I remember doing that. Do you know, I used to do that with my mum and dad. We'd go when I was a kid, and at night, and we'd pick all the blackberries off the brambles. It was great. But at night time, when I closed my eyes, all I could see was blackberries, and I couldn't sleep for seeing it. It was amazing. Kevin Hall says, what about making your kids do jobs around the house and earn a bit of money? Yeah, or save a bit of money. Yeah, that's what I do think, that getting kids to do a few tasks in the summer holidays and then rewarding them on something is a great idea, because, kids get away with murder. And actually, life is all about doing tasks. And let's face it, the parents are always doing stuff for the children. It would be nice if the kids sort of were able to reciprocate, even if it's just like tidying up and putting their stuff away. Something. I think that's a good thing. Chores around the house is a good idea. Jonathan Beluzic, 10p's. I'll try £10. Not quite sure what that's in. Linda says lots of activities at libraries, not just reading. There you go. Just goes to show how long ago it was. Be interested to know what they do at the library for kids. That would be good. Maybe we could take him up there. The Purple Cliffs of Dover, says the lovely Julia. There we are. We'll get them painting them purple. Picnics are always popular. Yes, I think that's a very good idea. Crab fishing at Rockley Point was great fun. There we go. Loads of ideas coming up. Thank you so much. As in not appearing for ages. What was that? As in not appearing for ages. I'm not quite sure the lovely Julia has said that. Comments are being odd this evening. Oh, I see. Are they? I do beg your pardon. I'm sorry about that. Obviously, I've got no control over them. I'm just reading them as I see them. But you may have led them out earlier. But hopefully you're all paying attention so that you can, backtrack on these ideas when they come and you can work it out. Claire Leach says, I go blackberry picking with my daughter, which is fantastic. Good to see. Emily Champion says, yes, we can do a day out, get the kids to do the videos. I'm sure there would be tons of parents on YouTube watching. Yeah, maybe we'll get the kids to do the filming, which would be interesting. As long as it's not too, bouncy. Maggie Walters, hello Maggie, how are you? Hope you're well. Says, is there litter picking take place near you again over the school summer holidays? I like the video you did on that, and the children seem to be enjoying the task, rewarding them with ice cream. Yes, now I feel that's great when it's an organised event. You've got a little bit of flag waving and there's buckets and all the right things. But the parents, if you did it off your own bat, It's funny, isn't it? I think there'd be a psychological barrier that the kids would go, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. Whereas if they turn up and it's being organised, it's just the fact that there's banners and a table and somebody else is organising it and it seems like fun. I think there's that psychological barrier that kids grow. Whereas if your parents suggest it, I just think they'll go, I'm not going to go and clean the beach, I ain't doing it. You know how bullshy kids can be. So yeah, that can be a bit of strange. Let's find out what Kevin Hall is up to. He's been out. Let's see part 2, shall we? Let's catch up there whilst you're coming up with some more terrific ideas. Kevin, how is it going on your trip out today?
Hi, Richard. I've just stopped to show you down through this valley where I'm pointing the camera now, and that's there's been those little clumps of where you've got the new green leaves coming up on the trees. That's chestnut that has been coppiced and taken away, probably for chestnut posts, for post and rail fence, or even possibly chestnut fencing, which I think I mentioned when Cynthia and I met you at Devil's Dyke. That's what my family was involved with a company that was once called the Fernhurst Chestnut Fencing Company. But that's a little bit of a just to give you that bit down through there. We've done a little video trying to pick up the sound of some creaking trees through here, but I don't think the video actually picked it up. Just done it again, so it might have been on there. But we'll carry on, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
There we are, that's Kevin. Didn't move the camera very much. We had the same scene all the way through, but, you know, it's lovely listening to his voice. So there we go. He's a nice bloke. Was helping him out with WeTransfer earlier on today because there was a few problems. But actually, I find it very easy to use WeTransfer. If you want to be one of those wonderful Vobing reporters to make a video with your phone, you can do. Film it and then send the files. It's quite nice if you do them in bits like this. I can play them throughout the show. As you go for a walk, just do like a minute or so, as you see Kevin doing it. Kevin's the master, by the way. And then all you've got to do is go to WeTransfer, all one word, WeTransfer.com on the web page. Don't worry about apps and things called Andy or whatever it is. Poor old Kevin was struggling with that earlier today. Just WeTransfer.com on an ordinary web page, and you'll be able to transfer, you'll be able to send those files, even if they're big files, you'll be able to send them to me very easily and I'll do the rest. So there we go, nice and simple. Let's have a look and see what games and events and things that people are saying. Robbie picks blackberries and I make bramble jelly jam, says Maggie Walters. How delightful. That's very nice. Jane Ainsley says do a boot sale with stuff they want to get rid of. Actually, that's not a bad idea, Julia. You've got such a lot of stuff that you need to get shot of. I don't like to say that too loudly or I'll get slapped, but you could do a boot sale somewhere. Linda Kane says everyone should pick up at least 3 pieces of litter every time they leave the beach. Doesn't have to be the beach, though. You could actually make that anywhere. You know, see a bit of litter, train everybody to pick up the rubbish, which would be nice. So that's good. Emily Champion says, I tidy up the park that backs onto my house. I even put up signs asking people to use the bins. Well, that's typical teacher. But yeah, no, but what a good idea that is. Cynthia Walder, if I can just get down there, says, my kids like the ancient farm at Butser. Yes, that would be a nice place to go. I must do a walk up there. And the Roman Villa at Bignor and Fishbourne. Did go to the Roman Villa at Bignor and recorded a podcast. Very nice it was. So there we go. Mark Taylor. Hello, Mark Taylor. How are you? Hope you are well from the Garden City up there. It's very nice. And Graham Whittington's good idea for Friday would be looking at the moon as it rises because it's going to be red. Lunar eclipse is taking place. So there we are. We just want a nice clear sky. Hopefully we can get one because we've had quite a few clear skies recently. And that would be great. Looking at the moon, seeing if you can see the baboon. The baboon in the moon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, keep those ideas coming, but I'm moving the conversation on. I think it's only fair. We're halfway through the show, and it's all going very nicely. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget, the next show will be on Wednesday, just doing 3 shows, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Not sure if the lovely Julia is going to be able to make it, but it would be nice if she's here on Wednesday because she can't do Fridays because she does her rollerblades. Now, talking of the lovely Julia, we were out. Now, you may have read this on Facebook, on the Bald Explorer group page. We were out the other day doing a bit of a recce for a video that we're interested in making in a place called Titchfield, which is close to, well, north of Portsmouth. And just off the I forget the name of the river now, because I tell you why I've forgotten the name of everything. Because we had an event happen. We parked the car. I mean, you may have read about this, so this may be old news, but we parked the car briefly. It was a hired car. Not a hired car. It was a courtesy car. Julia's main car, her and her hubby's main car, was going in for some panel repairs because there was some scratches and stuff. And they had a courtesy car, and Julia was invited to her mum's barbecue, which is a lovely thing to do, and hubby was very busy building a fort. Yes, F-O-R-T. Not having a thought, but building a fort. So he was very busy in the garden doing that, and he wanted to get it finished. And Julia said, oh, blimey, you know, I'm going on my own, a bit anxious and all this. And she said, why, I'll ring up Richard and see what he's doing. And I said, well, free food, I'm there. Where have I got to go? She said, don't worry, I'll pick you up on the way. So I said, oh, lovely. So we went off to the parents and did all the sort of, hello, I'm Richard, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And then we took the opportunity to sneak out and go and have a look at this Titchfield place, which is very nice. We wanted to look at the Abbey, but it was shut. And we wanted to look at the barn, but it's a big tithe barn, but there was a wedding going on. So we weren't having much luck. So she said, I'll tell you, I'll take you to the canal. It goes down to the Titchfield Haven or something. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, so we went to have a look at that. There's a tiny little car park, and then you get this public footpath by this old canal. When I say canal, I'm not talking about like the Grand Union. This is a canal that was built up in, I think, 1610. And it was mainly used just to up and down about 3 miles long, something like that, to bring stuff up to Titchfield because it was a bit of a port in those days. So anyway, we were only like 10 minutes having a look at this canal and taking a little stroll. And then we came back and blow me down, ladies and gentlemen, if some bastard, and I'm sorry to use that word, but it was absolutely awful, some bastard, kids probably, 17-year-olds, something like that, who knows, had smashed the rear window, the passenger rear window, and snatched Julia's bag. Luckily, she had her phone with her, but inside the bag was a purse with money in, quite a lot of money, and of course a number of personal belongings and things, and they nicked the whole lot. Well, we had to ring up the police, of course, and we got a crime number, and it was just inconvenient, and I had to look round the bushes to see if we could find what was going on, you know, whether these kids had taken the bag and emptied the bag out. And lo and behold, in the bushes and in a little track by a little hut, I found a pile of goodies. But it wasn't. They were out of another woman's purse, another woman's bag, rather. Obviously, it had been tipped down. There was a punnet of grapes. There was some hand creams, and there was, you know, all the sort of stuff that women keep in their bags, some little handkerchiefs, some lipsticks, and various things like that. But nothing of any value, because whoever had tipped the bag upside down had taken all the valuable things, including the bag, and just left this pile and scarpered. And at first I thought, oh, this must be Julia's. And I piled it into a plastic bag that I found. But she said, no, that's not mine. And I thought, crikey, it must have been fairly recent, because there was this punnet of grapes, you see. So these kids obviously operate in this area. But we looked and we looked. We spent probably a good hour looking around to see if we could find anything, but we couldn't find anything, which was a shame. And Julia was naturally upset by the whole event, and you know, you feel invaded. And the thing is, we were only 10 minutes. It wasn't as if we were actually going for a proper walk. If we were going for a proper walk, she would have hidden her bag, but she had tucked it behind the driver's chair. It wasn't immediately on sight, and you'd have to go right up to the window and look down to see it. But I think what had happened was the kids had seen us arrive, and the minute we got round the corner, I think that's when they did the deed. And so that's, you know, it was just terrible. But anyway, it's just you know how it is. It's just an awful thing to happen. And so I said to Julia, and I felt partly responsible, because if I hadn't gone along, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't have gone on the recce of Titchfield, and we wouldn't have actually parked there and she wouldn't have been targeted if I had, because she would have just gone to the barbecue with her son and stayed there and then come home and everything would have been fine. So I did feel partly responsible. And I know, obviously I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't lure her to park there so that someone would nick her bag and live off the proceeds. So I felt a bit guilty about the whole thing. As you do, because, you can't help it, can you? If you're a decent human being, you feel a bit guilty. So I sort of helped replace the money. And then took her out yesterday and we bought a new purse, just as a temporary thing until she finds something more ideal. And her phone charger had gone, so I said, oh, for goodness sake, let me buy you a phone charger. Not that I'm made of money or anything, but, it's just like, when you're with somebody and you're very, very friendly, and she was very down, and, I like Julia very much. I care for her a lot. So, and she's one of my team. She is my right-hand man if she was male. She's female, so she's my left-hand girl. You'll notice she always stands on my left-hand side, on my blind side, so I don't have to look at her. No, that's cruel. But I felt really bad, and I just said, look, let me buy these things because you do so much for me on the show and stuff. Let me just, try and replace these objects, not to take away the fact that it's happened or that the sentimental reasons have gone. It's just that you do need something to put your money in. You do need to charge your phone. And I would have got a bag for her, but finding a bag is a bit more personal because it's like, you know what women are like. They see something randomly and they go, that now I want it. That's the one. So we couldn't get a bag, but I just wanted to help out, and do the right thing. And so that was that. But I want to thank a few people because Kevin Hall very kindly made a lovely donation, which was very nice. And also Mia made a nice donation. I don't think she's on the group. I don't know whether actually Mia watches the live show or not, but she made a donation, which was very kind to say, look, please help because and I only put the thing on Facebook just to warn people, be careful this summer when you park your car and don't leave valuables on site. It's an easy mistake, anybody can do it, so you do have to be careful. And I didn't expect I wasn't doing it to try and get any cash out of anybody, but Julia was absolutely over the moon, and just as I am, humbled by the natural and lovely response that people do. People are so caring. You're all such lovely people, so it's great. So there we are. And yeah, so no doubt you've got stories. That was the other thing. If you've got stories about where you've been broken in. Graham Whittington says, last year I was spending an evening in a hotel in Southampton, came out the next morning to the car park, and there was my car with one front wheel missing. Blimey, it's amazing. They took a whole wheel. Struth, that's just dreadful. Hello, Stuart Douch, or Douche. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce your surname, but it's lovely to see you. Thank you for coming. Emily Champion says, probably using the money to get through the summer holiday. Yeah, well, that would have been, it was a considerable sum, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just like a fiver or anything like that. Let me just say it was 3 figures, so there we go, put that in. Andy Joy says he'll bring the baseball bat. Yeah, good idea. We did actually meet up. There were 2 photographers that we saw, and they said, yeah, and we told them about it, and they were gutted because they had parked there. Luckily, they had their cameras with them, and they were so nice. He said, well, if I see them running up, because they'd seen a couple of teenagers, which may or may not have been them. He said, well, if I've seen them, we'll have them, mate. They were really on our side, which was very nice. So there we go. Probably, yeah, so that was that. So, do take care this summer. Kevin Hall says, I know what it's like to have stuff nicked from your car. I had a full set of golf clubs nicked, and all they did was smash them into bricks and rocks. That's awful. Isn't that awful? Stuart says it's ouch with a D. Douch on the front. There we go. Thanks very much. That's very kind, Stuart. I do have problems with people's names, and it's just a nice thing. Because, for example, there's a very nice chap called Gary Vaux, and for ages I was calling him Gary Vo, Vaux, and you think, well, that's, that may be how it's pronounced. And then this was years ago when I was doing the Vobes Show as a podcast, and he got in touch and he says, no, it's Vaux. It's Vaux. It rhymes with knives and forks. And it's great because then you remember, don't you? So Stuart Douch, we've got it. Got it up there. Jonathan Beluzik, got it up there. Some names are difficult. I went to Kingley Vale Nature Reserve near Chichester. In the car park, the police have left a load of leaflets for drivers, says Jonathan Belusic, in their windscreen saying no valuables are left in this vehicle. That's a good idea. So it saves you having that hassle, you know, of having the window smashed. Trying to find a garage open on a Sunday morning to get a replacement for myself, and the management spent 6 hours trying. Oh yeah, for the missing wheel, because you can't. How do you get home? You need an AA membership for that, or an RAC, or whatever. Loads of hearts are going up. Thanks for the hearts, which is great. Kerry Fritz says, I'll be warning you all for over 7 years not to breed 666 carbon satans. Not quite sure what that's all about. What are you talking about there, Kerry Fritz, the second? The 6-6 beast system. So, yes, I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds a little bit random, but there we are. There's a lot of random people. One of the most random people is Simon Brown. Hello, Simon Brown. How are you? Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. I sounded a bit like Dave. What's his name? David Allen. What's his name? Hello there. Thank you for joining me. I don't know if you've seen his videos on the Bald Explorer page, but he always starts like that. Always makes me giggle. Anyway, I hope you're well, which is rather good. Now, you can become a patron of Vobes. You may not know what a patron of Vobes is or what that means. Being a patron of Vobes, ladies and gentlemen, means that you are supporting the Vobes empire. Yeah, I use the word empire. But what I'm saying is really it helps us continue to make the Vobes Show better and have more guests and do things, do some live reporting and taking us out of just this office and having more experiences, which we aim to do later on in the year and all over the place. It helps us to continue with the walking videos that we do, and also it helps to do other features. We've done a feature with Paul Couchman where we've been filming him. And highlighting the wonderful cooking stuff that he does. There'll be another Paul Couchman video coming up this week. We also have done an interview with Richard Suggett on the podcast. And it helps us to go out and, you know, film things like the Wendy Wakelin experience. It helps us to put petrol in the car and just keep pumping out the videos and keep you entertained. So if you're not a patron of Vobes, then maybe you would think about it. But if you are, what do you get? That's a question, you know, people often ask me. They say, Richard, you know, what do I get if I become a patron of Vobes? Other than the kudos of knowing that I'm helping to keep your lifestyle to the, you know, the champagne and caviar coming in and the life by the swimming pool and all of that. Some hope. And I say to them, well, what you do get is my daily email, which contains the Naked Englishman podcast. And they shy and they shock horror. They go, the naked what? The Naked Englishman podcast. It's a daily podcast of about 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 30. It's a sort of stream of consciousness where I talk to you a bit like this, but a lot more one-to-one, bit more personal, revealing things about my life that you wouldn't ordinarily want to put out in the public eye. Lots of interesting things. In the past, I've covered the story of my dad's dementia and how I've cared for him on a daily basis. That when I lost my eye, I took the viewer, or rather the listener, with me to the hospital, and you'd hear me possibly crying my eyes out when my son nearly died because he had a brain hemorrhage. And the whole saga plays out. It's a bit like The Archers on BBC Radio 4, but it's real. It's a real story of my life. And to be honest, when you look back, it is quite an extraordinary story. I do have a strange life, and I can't help that, ladies and gentlemen. But that's what you get on a daily basis. You get this real thing. And I know that a number of people listen to it and that they enjoy it. But you only get it if you're a patron of Vobes. The other thing you get is a weekly behind the scenes video. And every day I take a 2-3 minute little piece of what I'm doing behind the scenes, and you'll get that. And I'll show you an example of it because I was out with lovely Cynthia Julian today in West Grinstead making it, and I'll show you the sort of thing that you get, but you get a whole week's worth of it. It's just to sort of give you a bit more. It's like a little golden ticket to say thank you so much for supporting the show. It's very nice of you, which I will show you. And if you want to support the show, on the bottom of my walks videos now, I've set up you can do a one-off payment of whatever figure you like. a PayPal button. Go and look at the walk show. I'll try and get it on here when I've finished and put the things up. You'll be able to see a donation button. Or if you go here, I'll give you the link, the actual place to go. You can go here to become a Bald Explorer patron, a patron of Vobes, the baldexplorer.com/support, and there you'll find different ways. You may want to, for example, make a single donation, but you could also, for the price of, say, a cup of coffee a month, if you think what I'm doing, for the price of just a cup of coffee a month, whether that's £1, £2, £3, something like that a month, you will get all those things, and you really will be. It does make a big difference. I hate to come on and ask for money like that, but every now and again it's just really to remind you. And if we do something special, you'll get those extra bits and pieces. So that's really just trying to build it up a little bit, just to make sure that we can carry on doing what we do. So I imagine you'd like to see a little clip. Well, here's a clip from this week's behind the scenes video. Have a look. Cynthia, Julian and I in West Grinstead.
Laugh.
No, it's okay if you laugh.
It's a serious thing though.
Yeah, no, this is just behind. What day is it today?
Monday the 23rd.
Oh yeah, so this is the second one that it will be on the thing. Monday the 23rd, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm with Cynthia Julian, who has been terrific help on a number of the videos that we've done recently. Responsible for organising, I've forgotten his name now.
Roger Brown.
Roger, yes. Roger Watts. That's right, yeah.
Roger Watts.
Roger Watts, the bell ringer at Thacombe.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. And we're at another church.
We are.
You've arranged for me to see Richard
Verrill.
which
Yeah.
apparently is an old Sussex name.
Yep, they farmed here for a millennium, I think.
Farmed here
As he
for
said, his father was 102, I think, when he died.
Wow, 102. You had to be hardy
He
back
must be
in
the
those days.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said if you made it to 13, you were pretty bomb-proof.
Actually,
So,
right.
yeah.
So we're all right then.
Yeah,
aren't we?
so that's it. I'm just over 13, as you
You're
know.
looking good.
Lost my hair early. Had a shock. So we've been filming at, where are we?
We're at West Grinstead, and this is St George's, their parish church.
It's a lovely church, and Richard was really, really an interesting bloke. He was really cool. I liked talking to him,
Yeah.
and he knew his stuff because he was a farmer for here, and
Yep.
You
And
know.
he pulls bells here.
he pulls bells. Yes, some people
Yeah.
pull women, but he pulls
No,
bells.
They all pull bells around here.
They're all bell pullers.
Yeah.
But had this sort of cynical wit, which I liked.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was good value. He was very, and I learnt a huge amount.
Yeah, me
which
too.
I'm sure you did as
Yeah,
well.
no, absolutely. Especially about the Horsham Stone and the fact
Yeah.
that we're on the river Ada,
Mm.
and that they brought the stone up the river to build the churches, which a number of churches all did along here. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not as isolated as we first thought.
No,
That was a reason why it's here.
absolutely. Well, thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, thank you.
On to the next one.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a snippet of behind the scenes. Every day it's a different one, and you get the whole week's worth, and then that goes out to you. And it's really rather nice, actually. It seems to work out. People do like it. I like doing it, and it's great. And then when you see the walk that we've done, you'll get that little bit of back chat, which is rather nice. We're running out of time. We've got to find out what Kevin's up to very shortly. But before we go and do that, let us nip very quickly into the gallery. The gallery, photographs from the Bald Explorer group page. The lovely Julia goes in and selects a few at random that she thinks will appeal and entice you to go and have a look at the group. Please, if you are a member of the Bald Explorer group and you're one of those that don't post things, you just sit there and read, do post, do introduce yourself, do say hello. We do love to see you. It is absolutely fantastic. It's a community there. Of which the Vobes Show is a sort of sister to, and this is sort of like the live version of it. Every now and again, the Bald Explorer will do live shows like at Biddington later on, coming up very soon. But anyway, let's go and have a look and see what's going on in the gallery today. And in the gallery, to kick off, first of all, this is Teresa Dennis, who says the very beautiful church of Limster, in Sussex. It goes back to 1045. The church has a lot of history. She says that they went for a walk and you can smell how old it is. Wonderful views of Arundel, and it is very well worth a visit. So there you go. Have a little check that one out. Also, Sue Blount has been to Loch Achray. I don't know how you pronounce that. Achray, is it? Trossachs Hotel at, oh, here we go, Ty Moor. I'm sure that Julia does this just to test my ability to pronounce things. It was used for St. Catherine's Girls' School in the film The 39 Steps. I'd be interested to know what version. Is that the Robert Donut version of the 39 Steps, the Hitchcock one, or the more recent one with, what was his name with the curly hair, who played Jesus Christ in the past? Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but anyway, never mind. Meanwhile, Richard Suggett says, find me on Friday, the 21st of July. The answer was, he was saying, where is this? And the answer apparently was the Royal Victoria Dock. Look at that. It's an amazing. As somebody, I think, said, it looks like War of the Worlds. Yeah, it does look a bit macabre, is a word that comes to my mind. Here, Wendy Wakelin just found another picture of Richard from last weekend steering Victoria. She says, I thought I would share it. I'm the one in green, the bald one, just so you know. I'm the one that looks like I know exactly what I'm doing. The other bloke, you know, Lloyd, I'm sure he's no idea. I kind of have to keep telling him how to steer the lovely Victoria, which is a bit of a shame, but there we are, you know, seeing as he is the owner of it. Here we've got Terry Wood, an enjoyable visit to the famous Jamaican Inn in Bodmin Moor in Cornwall. I passed that, I think, that Jamaican Inn. I can't remember, is that the road that comes down with the moors on your left-hand side if you're travelling south? The real ale was on top form, says Terry Wood. Oh, Marv, I'm very pleased to hear that, which is excellent. Paul Hine has been to the New Forest. Here, Paul Hine to the New Forest. Pony checking us out, he says. That's very nice. A lovely bit of a red sky going on. There we are, 21st of the 7th, 2018. All nicely date stamped, which is great. And finally, Mark Emery, he says, fresh from the garden greenhouse this morning. Look at those peppers. They look delish. Peppers, cherry, big boy tomatoes, hello big boy, runner beans, carrots, spuds, turnips. Yummy, sounds delish. So there we go. Thank you very much for posting those, absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to join and find out what's going on in the group. You're very, very welcome. You're all very welcome. We're going to have a look and see what Kevin's up to. We've only got 3 minutes to get through the last few bits. Where was the dance, says Richard Suggett. I'm not quite sure. Emily Champion says, I was out and about. Videos to follow. Fantastic, Emily. Lovely to see that. Boy, because you're now on holiday, can't you? Because of the summer holidays. I think I've stayed there once. Where is that? The Jamaican Inn? Maybe, maybe not. Let's find out. Kevin, where are you? What are you doing? How's it all going on your quest?
Kevin here again. We've just arrived at an area which you will know very well from your video with Ed Warren. But we've now arrived at the Temple of the Winds, or Temple of the Four Winds, I think it's actually known. So we have come down here. And this is coming down, and I will show you where we are. So we are now looking at that plaque, which you can't pick up very well. The pointer's going in different directions. We're at 917 feet at Blackdown. And we are now looking out here towards Sussex, towards Lewis, and the Ditchling Beacon away in the distance. Go further round towards Shoreham, Worthing, and then back round to Arundel and Littlehampton. But if I come back round this way, very carefully, and in that direction, we are looking towards Surrey. So I'm going to pan right round now. And you'll have to excuse Cynthia stood on the seat and on there. Can you remember what that writing says, Cynthia? Or can you read it out for me, please?
This was erected in memory of Mary Elizabeth Hunter, wife of Edward Hunter, who gave Blackdown to the National Trust in 1944.
Lovely, thank you. Well, there you go. That's just the little bit of history about that. And we're going to carry on our walk. But I'm sure you can pick up on the winds coming through here. But it's not a hot sunny day, which is good. And the wind is actually very muggy, but the wind is quite strong here because it's very open looking out that way. Okay, we'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.
Blackdown is an awesome place. Absolutely lovely. Love it when I went up there with Ed Warren. Let's see the final part then, Kev. We'll go straight into that if you don't mind.
Hi, Richard. This is Kevin again. Cynthia and I have just probably come to the end of our walk now. So we're just going to... Cynthia's sitting down a bit further away from me. But it's lovely how the National Trust have all these benches round here with plaques on in memory of people. This one, as you can probably see, in loving memory of Mrs. M. Whitton from her family, 4th of February 1969. And it's very, very nice to see all these tributes from families. But as we come back round here, this is looking out towards, I don't know whether you can make it away in the distance, some little white domes. That is oak hanger. Away in the distance. So as we come round here, you're looking around all through the gorse. The heather is just beginning to come out, as you can see from these. So in a couple of weeks' time, this will be absolutely packed with heather. We're seeing several butterflies today, lots of bees feeding from the thistles that we've seen, some lovely looking thistles. Sadly, this bench is a bit sad, but we've got another viewpoint here. I don't know if you're going to be able to make out anything from there, but this was put there 1969. It's remembering Tom Clark, 1939 to 1996. And away in the distance, looking over that way, is Foremarks and Alton and Oakhanger and Selborne. Come back round this way and we've got Petersfield, Butser Hill, and a little bit further round that way is Up Park and Beacon Hill, and then slightly further round, and that's towards Midhurst. And in between we've got Woolbeading Common and Alder Hill. But there we go. That's our walk done for today. We're going to head back to the car now, and we will see you soon. So, Vobing reporting done by Kevin and Cynthia. So we'll both say goodbye, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Marvellous. Well done. Thank you, Kevin. Really enjoyed that. I have to say that when we were there, we saw, I think we saw the sea from the temple bit, the bit before this bit that you just played, and also Chantonbury Ring. And from where you were there, I think you could see Butser. Yeah, it's a very interesting place. And of course, there was the terrific accident, the aeroplane accident at Fernhurst, and I think we've got the furnaces. I want to go to those Fernhurst furnaces, which are not too far away from Blackdown. Definitely worth a walk. Take the kids up there, look at the lovely beech trees as well. Thanks to Ed Warren who took me there, and of course there are a couple of videos of our trip up there. You can check those out as well, so thanks very much. Let's have a very quick look in. We're over time now. Maggie Hall says, I'm going to the Midlands for a few weeks to spend some time with Sue Blount and go and see the heather up there. So there, well, that should be nice. It's lovely when the heather is in full bloom. I can tell you that when the heather is up on the Shropshire Hills, on the Long Mynd, it's all purple and everything. It's absolutely delightful. Brilliant vobing, Kevin, says Mark Selwood. Nice report, says Emily Champion. And where in the Midlands are you going, Kev? Oh, yes, a bit of conversation going on there. But anyway, we need to sort the Vobes to meet up Victoria in September. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, more on this coming up. But in September, there will be an official Vobes Bald Explorer meetup. A meetup where we'll be inviting you to come along to have a great afternoon out. We'll be bringing Victoria along. I say we, the lovely Wendy Wakelin and Lloyd will be bringing the Victoria traction engine along, the Empress of India, and you'll be able to have a ride on the trailer. There's going to be pub lunches. It's going to be a fantastic. If we have the right weather, it'll be superb. And if we don't have the right weather, I think there's a marquee or there's a large gazebo or something. So that is going to be great. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time. Unfortunately, it happens so very fast. So thank you so much for watching. The next show is on Wednesday. So do take care and look after yourself. Tomorrow on the videos, on the walking videos, we had Dumpman. It was great to see Dumpman today. There's another Dumpman coming back where we have a special treat. We visit a private house that used to be a station, but that's yet not tomorrow. That's coming up. Tomorrow, we, the lovely Julia, Richard Suggett and I went to have a look at Jill, the windmill, Jill, above Clayton. Very famous Jack and Jill windmills looking down towards Ditchling, up on the South Downs there. We go and do a special report. Absolutely fantastic. Meet up with Paul Barber and his family, and we have an exclusive look round, a private look round, and actually we even managed to get the sweeps turning. That's tomorrow's video, so do check that out. Working very hard to bring you good quality content. If you enjoy it, do think about becoming a patron of Vobes. It would be lovely if you did, or a patron supporting the Bald Explorer, and we can get these videos out more frequently and more often and more exciting things. So just before I go, a reminder for those who might be thinking about doing it. Here is the place that you go to. Oh, I'm losing. There it is. baldexplorer.com/support, or just give me some time after the show and look in the description. There will be a easy button or an easy link to PayPal for a one-off donation if you wish to do that. We do need to, it all costs a bit of money. But anyway, so that's that, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, of course, yes, when you hear this music, you know it means it's time for me to disappear and get myself all spruced up and ready for the next walking video, get out some editing done, and all those sort of things that one has to do when you run an outfit like this. But I'll be back on Wednesday, so thanks very much for all your comments. Do keep in touch. Do send me an email, richard@vobes.com. Do make suggestions. Do go to the Bald Explorer page. Do have a fantastic evening, whatever you're doing for the rest of the time, and I will see you very, very soon. So ta-ta and goodbye.